What's up, UConn Nation, and welcome back to UC Sports. Alongside Teddy Goncalves, I'm Julia Gintof, and we have an exciting week to recap.
That's right, Julia. Let's not waste any time and get right into it. UC Sports starts
right now. Volleyball took down Temple this week, winning 3-1 in Philadelphia. Sophomore Kaylee Parker led the team with 16 kills, and Jenna Flory contributed with 11 kills and 7 blocks. Unfortunately, this win on the road did not translate to their home game on Sunday, as the Huskies fell to Tulane 3-0. Courtney Morris recorded 27 assists in the matchup, but it was not enough to fight off the Green Wave, putting the Huskies back at 500 on the season. The team is looking at 2 home games this week on Friday and Sunday, where they will be taking on Cincinnati and East Carolina.
Field hockey faced 2 opponents on the road this week as they continue their run for another national championship. Their first stop was in Philadelphia, where they looked to catch another win from Temple. The team did just that as they took a 5-0 win from the Owls. UConn had goals from 4 different players, 2 coming from junior Jessica Dombrowski, and goalkeeper Cheyenne Sprecher recorded her 6th shutout of the season. The Huskies then stopped in Maryland, where they fell to the Terps 2-0, recording only their 2nd loss of the season. UConn showed great effort, but it was ultimately not enough to put them on top. The Huskies are back in stores on Friday, where they face another Big East opponent, Providence College, at 3 p.m. We're going to head to a quick commercial, but when we come back, we'll hear about how football and men's and women's soccer teams did this past week.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Jonathan. Woo! Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Jonathan. Happy birthday to you.
Welcome back. Moving on to men's soccer, the team fought their hardest in 2 overtime thrillers this week. Through a defensive battle against Memphis on Friday, the game remained scoreless by the end of regulation. The Tigers would later come out on top in this one, scoring in the 94th minute. The Huskies went on to play Providence College on Tuesday, where Robin Lappert had a great header into the back of the net. Unfortunately, this goal was sandwiched by 2 goals from the Friars, resulting in another loss by a score of 2-1. To make matters worse, the Huskies lost leading scorer Jordan Hall to a leg injury. They look to bounce back on the road this week as they travel to Cincinnati on Saturday and to New York to take on Syracuse on Tuesday.
The football team was hoping to rebound from their losing streak this past week as they took on USF back home at the Rent. USF came out early with 2 touchdowns, but UConn was able to respond in the middle of the second quarter with a touchdown from Elijah Jeffries off a 25-yard pass from quarterback Mike Beaudry. USF did not relent, however, as it was a back-and-forth battle until the end of the half. Kevin Manza ran it in for 2 touchdowns, but the UConn defense struggled as the Bulls would ring it in for 3 more touchdowns before the end of the game, bringing the final score to 48-22. The Huskies will look for their 2nd win of the season this Saturday as they battle Tulane in Louisiana.
The women's soccer team had a tough time on the road this week, dropping both games to Memphis and Tulsa. In Tennessee, goalkeeper Randy Palacios was able to fend off 5 shots, but another 5 managed to make it into the net, concluding the game with a loss of 5-0. Sunday's game in Oklahoma proved to be more of the same as the Huskies went scoreless once again, falling 2-0. They look to secure 2 wins back at home this week with conference games against Houston and SMU. Both games will be played at Dillon Stadium, Thursday at 3 o'clock and Sunday at 1. From the pitch to the rink, ice hockey is now in full effect, and the women's team grabbed 2 opening wins at Long Island University over the weekend. The Huskies downed the Sharks on Friday 4-0 with goals from Morgan Wabick, Leona Sim, Savannah Buzide, and Catherine Crawley. Goalie Morgan Fisher also recorded her first shutout of the season, making 9 saves. The game on Sunday was much of the same as the offense dominated yet again, with a 52-14 shot advantage. They would take this one 6-1 and will come home for Friday's game this week against New Hampshire.
The Meds team also had their first game of the season where they headed to Sacred Heart to take on the Pioneers. The game ended in a 3-3 draw after 3 periods of regulation and overtime, but the Huskies looked strong on both the offense and the defense. Goalie Tomasz Romaszka allowed 3 goals but had a career-high 45 saves throughout the game. UConn saw goals from 3 different sophomores, all coming in the second period. The Huskies are facing off against Army West Point for their home opener on Friday, where they look to settle into the game and catch a win.
We're going to throw it over to Teddy Criscuolo, our High Five analyst, to give you the top 5 plays throughout the UConn sports world this week.
Thanks, ladies. UConn fans, I've got the haircut, we've got the plays, so let's get right into our top 5. Kicking us off at number 5, we're going to head over to freshman Allie Garland and the UConn volleyball team. After a tough rally and save by the Huskies, Garland absolutely stuffs the Tulane spike, hyping up her and her teammates. UConn goes on to lose, 3-0. At number 4, we're going to head to the Rent and Elijah Jeffries at Saturday's game against USF, catching the pass from Mike Beaudry and weaving and bobbing his way through the USF defense, bringing it to the house for 6. And now we're going to stick with football because at number 3, we have defensive back BB Olaniyan with the big interception in the third quarter deep in UConn territory. UConn fails to break their losing streak, however, and ends up falling 48-22. Now the really good stuff, because we're going to number 2, and we're going to head back to Gamble Pavilion and UConn junior Isabel Peterson, who absolutely demolishes a spike for the point. But still, even this powerful spike doesn't live up to our top spot, because at number 1, we have UConn running back and workhorse Kevin Mensah sneaking his way into the end zone for the touchdown. This run put Mensah over 2,000 career rushing yards, becoming only the 9th UConn player in history to accomplish this feat. Well, that does it for me, folks. We have another big week of UConn sports coming up, so stay tuned for next week's High Five. Now I'm going to send it back to Taya.
Thanks, Teddy. That is all we have this week on UC Sports. Make sure to follow us on Twitter and Instagram at UCTV Sports and subscribe to us on our YouTube channel, UCTV Channel 14. For Julia Gintof and the rest of our crew, I'm Taya Goncalves, and we'll see you next week on UC Sports.